I'm Seth Rankin with Conservation Contracting, and I'm out here with Mason today. We're working on a CRP field, which is supposed to be native grasses and forbs. Mimics a natural prairie that we might have had 100 years or so ago, but it's all been planted. But one of the common issues that you get in these type of prairie fields is you get woody encroachment. So this here happens to be an autumn olive, which is an invasive species, but you could get walnuts or locust, any type of woody species naturally wants to be here. As a landowner, it's your responsibility to keep that out, because what will happen if you get saplings and you let it go a year or two, they'll get to the point where they start getting giant like this, and it becomes a lot less manageable. One of the things that we do as a business, and that as a landowner, if you have a CRP or prairie field that you would want to do, is to make sure you stay on top of this woody encroachment. Like I said, this is an autumn olive, so this is something we'd want to cut regardless, because it's an invasive species. You hear a lot of argument about, well, these autumn olives produce berries, which they do. They produce berries that are actually edible to humans as well. But the issue with that is there's no nutritional value. It's basically junk. It would be the equivalent of us eating a bunch of Snickers or Baby Ruths. You get full on them, but it doesn't provide you any type of nutrition. And that's what happens to birds. So it can actually make birds sick, malnutritioned, and even die when they fill up on these berries. Not to mention going and pooping the berries out and the seeds out, and that's how we get seeds spread across these big areas like this. So we're just going to do a brief demonstration on how you get rid of this. Invasive species management is not rocket science, but there definitely is a right way and there is a wrong way to do it. So it's important as a landowner, as a land manager, whatever you are, you understand the right way to do this. So we're going to just demonstrate that today. What we're doing is a method called the cut stump treatment. So what you want to do is we'll have to go around and cut individual branches, but eventually you get down to just the trunk of the plant, or the woody species, and then you treat that with herbicide once it's completely cut down. And on these autumn olives, they tend to have very branched growth patterns. So you'll have limbs, as you'll see I cut this all the way around first, and they'll fall in all directions. So before you can even get to where you treat it, you've got to get all those bucked up and off of there. And so it is a little bit of a process. It's not the easiest of work, but it's not hard either. It just takes a little bit of time. And you'll see the equipment that we're using is a chainsaw. So this is just it's a MS-192. It's made by Stihl. It doesn't really matter the brand, but a 14-inch saw is really important. You want a compact, our semi-professional saw is what I like to use, but we just use handheld sprayers like this one. It's just a gravity fed or pressure fed to treat the stump once it's cut. And then probably the most important piece is safety gear. So we'll have I have chaps on here. We got a hard hat, ear muffs, and gloves. So that's basically your equipment. That's all you need. So that's basically, if you're in a field like this, it could be bush hogged at some time. You want to try to cut it as flush as you can to the ground without running your saw into the dirt. This is just so, you know, if next year the landowner wants to come in and bush hog this field for some reason, he doesn't have a bunch of little stumps that are sticking up as tire poppers. The next step would be taking your sprayer. It's really easy. This is a chemical called triclopyr 4, and we mix it with basil oil, which is blue, helps you see where you applied, and it also helps the herbicide adhere to the stump. You want to make sure there's not a bunch of sawdust on there to absorb the herbicide. But we'll just pump our sprayer up a little bit here, Give it a little shake to make sure it's mixed, and then you can apply it. You really only need to apply it to that outer cambium layer of the stump. On these small ones like this, you're probably just going to cover the entire stump for most of it. But that outer ring along the stump is what brings in the nutrients and the water to the root. The whole goal of this is to not just give it a haircut, but we actually want to kill it down to the root. If we went this far and did not use the herbicide, what this would do is the roots would send up sprouts everywhere. So there's 5 stumps here, there might be 15 sprouts that come up out of these. And so you've just really made your problem a lot worse than what it was, and you would have been better off not to have even cut it. So there's no way around using herbicide. There just isn't. It's a necessity. And you know, we have gloves on, so we wear nitrile gloves to keep herbicide off of us. We've got all the safety equipment on so we don't get this on our skin. But it's really a safe operation if it's done properly. You have the basic protective equipment. And what this will do, these stumps will die. They won't sprout over. You can come back probably next year and you could just kick those stumps and they would fall over. We've eliminated the woody vegetation, and this will allow the prairie species that were being shaded out to start coming up through here. And so next year there should be prairie grass, black-eyed Susans, coneflowers, whatever is growing in this field will be allowed to keep growing at this point. So that's basically it. Pretty simple.